Alright everyone, welcome back. So last time we left off we had struggled a bit to implement a typical particle effect into our combat scene. And the reason ended up being because Unity's, as of the time of recording, current versions had some new issues with particle effects. But we managed to get through that, and we now need to have sound effects that happen when we attack the enemy. So I've got two sound effects I've chosen out here, for when the sword impacts and one for when we miss. And so I've got this sound effects audio manager here, which is kind of a global sound effects system, and it has multiple audio sources on it so that we can play multiple sound effects in tandem. We're going to do kind of a micro version of this. And we're going to put this on the player object. And these are going to be player-specific sound effects. So let's go ahead and take a look at our SFX Manager class and get an idea for what we're going to be doing here. So we got this SFX Audio Manager. It's a singleton instance, which is not something we're going to persist. It has an array of audio sources, a public float for the volume, which will be the volume persisted across all of these audio sources, as well as a couple of audio clips that it chooses to play. Special 10 source. I don't remember exactly what that is, but let's go ahead and take a look down here. So when we load up, we import our settings, which just has our sound effect volume. Right now it's set to 0 because, well, personally, when I'm testing stuff, I don't like having the sound effects on because typically I'd be listening to music while I'm working, but since I started doing the audio recording, I haven't been able to do that same thing because the audio picks up my music out of my headphones, and YouTube decides it wants to slap me with Content ID checks. So so I could actually do this with sound effects now. The way I have my recording set up is I'm not picking up any audio from the computer. So maybe once I get a little further in, we'll start recording audio off of the computer. And boy, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, doing a recording about putting sound effects in and not letting you hear the sound effect is kind of stupid. So let me go ahead and figure that out real quick. Alright, so welcome back again. So now I've got my video recording set up, so you should be hearing these sound effects. So this will be the sound when our sword hits. And this will be the sound when our sword misses. So, going back to the code here, we're going to take this sound effect system. What are we going to do? I think we want to replicate this without the singleton aspects, because we're going to want to grab this from a kind of a controlling class, and we're going to search the search the children objects for an SFX audio manager. Yeah, so let's go ahead and rename this. So this is going to be let's see, do I even need a global SFX audio manager though? Yeah, you know what? We'll go ahead and just create a new class. Sound effect controller. Actually, no. Don't I have an audio script folder? I should. I do not. So we'll go ahead and create a new folder in our scripts for audio. Typically in software development as a whole, I prefer not to have generic sounding namespaces or folders or projects, like things like common or system or utility those are very, those are names that lack any kind of meaning towards what the contents are. So as I'm going through here, I have a few of these types of things. Like I do have this system folder that has a few more global constructs that are going to get split up as we're continuing on with this project. So in my audio folder, I'm going to create a new C# script, sound effect controller, right? And this is going to follow a similar mechanism to this. I'm going to have a audio sources array, volume, we're going to make these private. Throw our serialized field on top of it. Interesting. Our Visual Studio project's not refreshing. Oh well, that's fine. So we're going to, so we need to figure out how to store our clips. And I wonder if we don't have like a key value pair type of thing where we have a string key with the audio clip itself, and then we can reference our clips by string rather than enumeration like I was doing before. I kind of like that. Yeah, we might go ahead and do that. But for the moment, let's continue on. So we do want this audio sources thing. So we need to check to make sure we actually have audio sources that are set. And actually, you know what? We're going to do sfx audio sources is equal to this dot get components. Okay, it's not picking up any of my IntelliSense for Unity either. I'm going to go ahead and just close Visual Studio real quick. And we're going to open C# project. We'll let this generate up. Clearly something went wrong there. There we go. Okay, so there we go. Get components. So we're going to get all of the audio sources that are attached to the current game object. And if there are none, then we're going to yell about it. Now, about volume. I'm not sure what to do about volume yet, so we're just going to leave this set in the editor. I don't have a game settings mechanism yet for this game. I've got one from a previous one that I might reuse the same type of setup with, but for now we're going to skip that, which includes this game settings loaded and saved stuff and import settings. Update audio source volume. That one we do want, which is just going to loop over all of the audio sources. And set the volume. Play sound effect. And that. Yeah. Okay. So here's where we're going to kind of get into it. So public class audio clip lookup. problem, if I remember, is that properties do not get serialized like this. So, how did I do this with the prefabs? Yeah, they're just public. Yeah, to my knowledge, the serialized field attribute doesn't let us expose properties, as far as I remember anyways. But that's fine. So we're going to do another serialized field. So we're going to have a play clip. Boy, I'm just misspelling everything I'm typing today. We have the first audio source that is not playing. Source.play. Yeah. So, leave ourselves a little debug log error if we've gotten a clip by the key, but there's no clip attached in the editor. We're going to go ahead and put up an error here. And if we cannot find a available audio source, we're going to go ahead and debug log that as well, because that'll let us know during testing that we do not have enough audio sources attached to this particular sound effect controller for the sound effects we're trying to play. There we go. So, play clip, we're going to do that. We're going to do this. And that should be fine. So, let's go and take our sound effect controller. And let's create an object for ourselves. So we're going to attach this to the player. Let's go and add our sound effect controller, and let's go ahead and give it a couple audio sources. Let's see here. So what do we got here first off? So play on awake, false. Loop, no. Priority, volume is 1. Pitch, stereo pan, spatial blend between 2D and 3D. Make it 3D. I'll leave those as the defaults, and that should be fine. So let's go ahead and copy. And we'll give it 4 audio sources. There isn't really anything to lose by putting more audio sources. It's just, you know, for simplicity's sake. And we'll go ahead and put the volume to 1. You know what, I'll put it to 0.5 because I don't know how this is going to balance out in the video, and I can't use my headphones right now because the recording will pick it up, and I don't know what will happen as far as any kind of shenanigans with that. But let's go ahead and put 2 here. And key, we're going to say attack hit. And we're going to say attack miss. Audio, sound effects. Is there any import settings I need to change here? Preload audio data, decompress, blah, blah, blah. Both those look fine. Let's put those there. And now in our player, has an audio source on him. I'll have to go look, and I think that's part of my movement controller because I do have a footstep mechanism that plays normally. So for the player, we are going to give him a sound effect controller. So that should get picked up. Now, when we attack enemy, we play our sword slash. And actually, we want to play the sword slash regardless of whether the player hit or not. And then if our next attack hit, we're going to say this dot sound controller play clip. And I already forgot. What did I call it? Attack hit and attack miss. Else. And I lied, I will be putting my headphones on, so hopefully the mic doesn't pick this up too badly, because I do need to know if this actually worked or not. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's see what happens. Alright. So let's get on going over here. Let's attack and miss. Let's attack and hit. That sure sounded good to me. Yep, that works for me. Alright, hopefully the audio picked up on the recording, but if not, you'll have to take my word that the sound effects played successfully. So thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Take care.